What's up, fake gamers? Welcome to another episode of Games from the Steam Backlog. I say another episode even though this is labeled Volume 1. What's going on? After some feedback on the first video where I covered one game, I've decided that each subsequent video in this series will have me tackling multiple games per video. As my friend Ninja Star Compass put it, this changes the feel so that it's more like I'm looking at a random grab bag of games. This episode's also going to be a little bit more off the cuff than the last one. Really embrace that kind of looser feel. With that said, let's get into it. The first game I'm going to be covering is Portal. Portal? What the hell is this doing on here? I actually have never played Portal before. I believe I played a little bit of the multiplayer for Portal 2 way back in the day with my friend Ethan, but that's neither here nor there. I got this as part of the Valve Complete Pack, as well as about 1 billion different Half-Life games. So this one's interesting because I actually knew a lot about Portal when I was younger. I actually became friends with my friend Ethan partially because of my mad Portal knowledge. I was a fan of Jonathan Colton, who wrote the end song for the game Still Alive. And I've played quite a few Source Engine games. I used to be really big into TF2, and I've played a lot of Gary's Mod as well. Not to mention the Mario Portal Flash game that someone made, where you play as Mario with a portal gun. So even though this is a new game to me, it feels very familiar. I'm aware that this is like an incredibly critically praised game, so I'll maybe try to keep it a little brief. I don't want to restate too many things that you've already heard. Although despite the overwhelmingly positive reviews, apparently Steam user Fourth Reich Commander-in-Chief thinks that it is, quote, real boring. Normally I wouldn't say the name of a Steam user just because I disagree with their review, but this particular name review combo, it just wouldn't be nearly as funny if you took the name away. Please don't harass this person, please, for the love of God. I will revoke your Jonii fan club pass, you little shit. Anyway, if you're not experienced with Portal at all, essentially you play as Chell and you're held in a testing facility of some sort with nothing but a portal gun to your name. What does a portal gun do? Well, it makes portals. Simple enough. There's a blue and an orange portal. You can shoot blue portals onto the walls and walk in and go to where the orange one is. Later on, your portal gun gets upgraded so that you can shoot both of them. You can have all the power. You're guided around by an AI named GLaDOS, who has quite the dry sense of humor, and I really enjoy it.
The Enrichment Center regrets to inform you that this next test is impossible. Make no attempt to solve it. The Enrichment Center apologizes for this clearly broken test chamber. Fantastic. You remain resolute and resourceful in an atmosphere of extreme pessimism.
I really like how the story here is relatively simple, but it's still interesting. The game's not gonna railroad you with any like insane cutscenes or unskippable tutorials or anything. You do get right into it after a brief explanation of the controls. In gameplay too, the game doesn't stop you and go, here baby, little fucking idiot. It's intuitive, it's simple, it's straight to the point, and I like it a lot. If you've ever played another Source Engine game like Half-Life or Team Fortress 2 or Gary's Mod or Counter-Strike, you'll get the basic controls down pretty quick. It feels very similar to those. I mentioned that end song Still Alive. One Easter egg I noticed is that there's a radio at the very beginning of the game that plays a much more upbeat version of that song that I think is very funny. The whole atmosphere of this game is great. The visuals are really striking with their claustrophobic white walls closing in on you, making the blue and orange accents stick out that much more. I also really like how you can see your player character Chell through the portal sometimes. Like, hey, that's me. How you doing, me? On the whole, I'm really eager to play more of this, and I would definitely recommend it. The game is very fast-paced, and it keeps challenging but fair puzzles coming at you consistently. Couple that with the apparently short runtime, and this is the type of game that's right up my alley. So yeah, I think I will finish this one. This is the first good game we've gotten on this show. Hooray! I wonder if the next one will be any good. I was worried, but actually, yes, Jonii. The next one is good. This game is called Petal Crash. Now, Petal Crash is a game I actually bought because I wanted to play it, because it looked good. And the reason why I wanted to play it, that it looked good, is for two things. One, it's a puzzle game that has a very similar aesthetic to a lot of old school puzzle games that I enjoy, like Panel de Pon and Puyo Puyo. And also, it was made by T. Ashley Jenkins, who also made Grapple Force Reina, which is a good 2D platformer that I like. So, I bought it myself. And I gotta say, This game delivers wonderfully on the retro vibes. For one, graphically, I want to compare it to Game Boy. Obviously, it's in color, so it's not quite there, but it does give the vibes of a very, like, 90s kind of handheld type game with the big, solid colors, limited palettes, but really detailed sprites regardless. It helps that the music sounds like a Kirby game for the Game Boy. None in particular, it just carries that sort of Kirby feel about it, and it's really solid. I also really like that this game has a whole big roster of characters, much like Panel de Pon or Puyo Puyo, and you can select any of them. There's even a story mode, so each character gets to have their own, like, personality and, like, a little cute narrative, where nothing is, like, incredibly consequential, it doesn't seem like, but it's just, it's fun. I played as the character Lillibri, who is a librarian, and she's going around looking for books. In one instance, the puzzle game only got played because she got offered a better discount if she beat a store owner. Speaking of the puzzle game itself, it's a little bit more complex than your standard fall and block thing. Instead, you shift these blocks around, you make them either hit another block or hit the wall, and what you have to do is you have to slam blocks into blocks of the same color. You can't just line them up next to each other, it has to make contact, it has to hit immediately, and that'll make a big explosion happen, and then that'll send blocks flying, and that's how you can get combos, is if you can manage to make that happen a couple times. But your board keeps on growing little block flowers, and you can't let them outgrow your board, otherwise you lose. Overall, I'm like super enjoying this one so far. I'm definitely gonna play more of this. Might even grab it on Switch, because it's on Switch. You should get it on Switch. Or Steam. It's $10. I recommend it. If you like puzzle games, if you like Panel de Pon, go for it. Get it. And finally, the last game we'll be covering today is called Her Story. Now, Her Story is interesting because it's an FMV game. I bought this one specifically because I have an interest in those. Been enjoying this game called Yaradora Doublecast, for example. But this one's in live action. Basically, how this game works is essentially there was a murder trial that took place in 1994. A woman who was a suspect in that murder trial, to my knowledge, she was the wife of the person who was murdered, was interviewed a couple times. And for whatever reason, a couple years later, you, the player, are sitting down in front of this ancient computer with footage from these interviews, trying to piece together what exactly happened. Unfortunately, you can't just watch these interviews in full. You have to search keywords, which will give you access to specific individual answers. I'm really intrigued by this game so far. My main thing is I kind of wonder where exactly it leads, how you end up solving this. Because so far it's very much like just doing research. You're just combing through this footage, trying to pick up little details from individual clips to find new keywords to hopefully find more footage. And I've never really seen something structured like that before, even though that previous FMV game I mentioned is a bit of a mystery game. So yeah, I feel like this is one that I could get a lot of enjoyment out of. I feel like I'd have to really sit down and spend some time with it, rack my brain a little bit, but I would definitely recommend this one if you're interested. Just beware. Sometimes the light in the room flickers and you can see the reflection of the character you're playing as on the computer screen, and I was not fucking ready for that. That scared me a lot. So if you don't want to get scared a lot, make a mental note of that. Stick it in your brain. Post-it note in your brain. With that said, this has been Volume 1 of Games from the Steam Backlog. What did you guys think? Do you want to see more of this series? Are there any format changes I should make to make it more enjoyable? Are you interested in any of the games? Please let me know. I hope to make some more of these, as well as some more formal uploads, hopefully pretty soon. Anyways, this has been Jonii, and you have been watching me. And now, you're not.